Makayla, thank you so much for coming on the AIM podcast.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm so excited to be here.
Let's go. This is going to be a really fun episode. Quick shout out to our good friend Jordan for helping make the connection. Shout out Hoobie, they're a great company. But yeah, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I know you've done such a good job of building your personal brand in a way that not only just provide so much value to your audience, but I can tell you really care about the people that follow you. And so I want to talk about that, your fitness journey and everything, but also mental health, which I think is something that you're super passionate about. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about everything.
Let's go. Well, I want to dive in maybe for just the context, like would love to hear how you got into fitness and what your journey looked like to even start, training, working out and taking health more seriously.
Yeah, so basically I was in 2018 when I started going to the gym and I was working at a rec center and I got like a gym membership for free. And I was wanting to like get into training because basically I was an athlete in high school, but after high school, after we graduated, I stopped. I used to do track and field, figure skating. Figure skating was my main thing though. I did
Wow.
that for 11 years and I was going to like do Disney on Ice, like all that kind of thing. And I decided to go to college instead. So when I went to college, I got a job at the rink and I got a free gym membership through that. And that's what kind of was like, okay, maybe I should start going to the gym because I was just feeling like really bad about how I looked. I didn't feel healthy because I had gone from training like every single day for multiple sports to absolutely nothing and then just studying constantly. So very sedentary, not moving a lot. So my body changed a lot and I just like wasn't feeling healthy. I felt really lethargic. I had no energy. So I was in a program where we talk a lot about exercise and health. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the gym. It's free anyways. Like I'll just try it.
Sure.
And I hated it. I hated it when I first went. And then I just kept going. And then by like I think it was like the second or third month, I was obsessed and I never looked back.
That's so cool. It's a good story. I come from an athletic background as well. I played college basketball, and I think, and I want to hear more of your thoughts on this. I think that transition period for athletes
Mhm.
is pretty interesting to see how, like you said, you spent so much of your life training for this sport, training for this, this one particular thing, and then to go and to not have that in your life anymore and have to fill that vacancy, like it is a transition period. And it's like I think it's difficult for some people to decide like, okay, how do you train now? Like, do you get to choose? Do you want to go to bodybuilding? Do you want to go CrossFit? It's like, I'm
Mhm.
just so used to one thing. It's like, that's like a discovery phase for a lot of people.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that because like not everyone does sports to go like to the NBA or like to go
Yeah.
like all the way. Like of course that's the dream when you're first starting, but like as you get into like high school, I feel like you're really starting to settle in if like you're really gonna take it serious. But I wish there was more like people that talked about that transition period because like it would have been nice to like not have that year period where I wasn't doing anything and wondering why I felt like crap because I had no knowledge of that. Like there was no conversation. Like it just went from, oh, I get to stop and you're all excited because you're
Yeah.
done. And then you're like, now I feel horrible. Why do I feel horrible? Like
Totally.
so like my program really helped with that. The school I was in, like that's what really like got me into the gym because I was understanding how you can build muscle, like you can change your body. Like I was like, wait, what? So that's what's got me in the gym because it's that weird awkward period and I feel like so many people don't talk about if you don't go to college and do a sport, like you just stop. So then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, where what do you do? Like
Yes, absolutely. And I think too, like, one thing where like I'm super passionate about with this podcast and this platform with ambition in mind is that I don't want to ever push or make someone feel like they need to be an Olympic athlete or they need to do this or that. I just think it's important for us to discuss things and topics in, areas of your life that you should consider or be aware of to just live the healthiest, best version in life that you can live, whether that be mindset, which I know we're going to dive into later, or some version of fitness. I think is really important for all people, whether you are a pro athlete or just, someone that maybe isn't into sports, but still should have some degree of just taking care of yourself just for the health benefits. And so I think
mhm.
to your point, I mean, I love what you said there because I think there should be a lot more like people talking about it. There should be a lot more resources that are like true and factual, just about like, how can I just be a healthy human being, whether I'm the best athlete in the world or just someone who just wants to live a good life?
Exactly. Because it all comes down to like it's just like people don't like feeling like crap. So why don't we try and like make it as easy as possible for as many people to live a healthy lifestyle as possible? It's more about the lifestyle. It's not about like trying to lose weight. It's not about trying to just like temporarily have something go on. Like it's a lifestyle, just like when you're in school and you've been doing a sport since you were like, let's say you're 8, and then you graduate and you've been doing that sport this entire time, but then you stop. That's something that like a lot of people don't know how to deal with, and then they just go into depression, and then the mental health gets bad, and like all these things are correlated, and I feel like so many people don't like realize unless you're like really self-aware. And like I didn't realize that for a long time. Like this was like 5 6 years ago now, so it's like there's a lot of growing. But like I feel like this new generation coming up that's just like graduating high school right now, like I really feel like this should be something that's talked about more, because I feel like so many people don't understand that transition phase, and it can really get like mentally draining for a lot of people. Because like it's hard when you feel like crap and you don't feel good.
Yeah, you're
Then
so
your
right.
mental health starts to get affected, right? So
You're so right. And I, there's I'm very optimistic. I like to think of like, okay, even in the worst case scenario, the worst environments, the worst circumstances, how can we see like the benefit of this? And I do think while there were a ton of challenges through COVID in 2020, there was also a lot of benefits. There was a lot of
mhm,
opportunities and a lot of new people coming out and saying, listen, I know we're in a tough time, but like I want to educate you guys on why you should be healthy, whether it be what you should be putting in your body food wise or how you should be exercising. And so, I'm super grateful for people like you, and there's others in the industry that are just doing such a good job of like really caring for the people that follow them, and really just trying to show people that, look, you don't have to do everything I do, but like let me at least help you or motivate you or inspire you or educate you some way to just be better and just to continue to pursue, the best version
mhm.
of yourself, which I think you do a great job of.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly like that's why I started. Like for real, like I started posting because I just wanted to help at least one person not feel the way I felt when I was first starting. I felt so lost and confused. And like to this day, it's been 4 years, and I still, every single thing I post, I'm like, okay, if this is gonna help one person, it's all good. It doesn't matter if it does bad or good. It doesn't matter if people
Right.
hate it. If it's helping one singular person, that's
That's a
good.
win.
It's fine. That's all that matters.
That's
Because there's
awesome.
so much negativity in this world, and you have to focus on those good things.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, totally. And I think we can get easily, as humans, we can get distracted or get consumed in those things. But I think if you can remain aware of your heart posture and like truly what is that why, what is that driver? And if it really is, I mean, you seem like an incredible person. Like if it really is
Mhm.
to really help people, I think that's what will carry you through all those other distraction, all those other noise, all that other negativity. Like that thing can, carry you.
Exactly. Like I've had my fair share of hard times in this industry, and like that is the thing. Like I've almost quit several times, and I in the very beginning I did. I had a separate account that no one knows about that I ended up deleting because it got to me. But like you just have to know, like, and that's advice for anyone listening to this podcast that wants to put themselves out there and help people and do social media or whatever it is. Like you need to just believe in yourself, focus on your why, and everyone's going to say stuff. People always do, and you just have to really like at the end of the day, it's your life. It's what you have going on, and if you're doing things for the right reasons, things will work out for you. And I truly, truly, truly believe that, because that's what happened to me. I did not expect this to be my career whatsoever.
So
And here
good.
we are. And I love it every single day because I get to help people and it's a very fulfilling job. It really is. So
It's
yeah,
amazing.
I definitely, that's my biggest advice is just remember your why and
Yep.
really, really listen to yourself all the time instead of other people.
So good. I love it. So I'm super, it was super cool to hear kind of what your transition in your journey was getting into fitness. Where did social media come into play? You said you've been kind of creating content, helping people for about 4 years now.
Yeah, we're coming up on 4 years. Basically, I think 2018, 2019, 2020. Yeah, almost five actually. Oh
Let's
my
go.
gosh.
Congrats. Let's go.
I basically had just graduated college, and I was like, you have to wait to do your board exams. Because I was a registered massage therapist. That's what I did before this. So
Nice.
random. Um, and I you have to wait to do the boards because they only have them twice a year. So I was like, okay, you're in this awkward, like I can't fully work as an RMT yet. I'm kind of in limbo. I was going to the gym a lot and I was like loving training and I was like, I really want to share this with people, but I just felt a little weird about it. Like, and people, I'm from a small town. People are really judgmental, unfortunately. It's a bit better now. Like, now social media is more normal, but like when I first was doing it, everyone was like, this girl is weird. Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? But it was in that limbo period. I'd actually just finished um doing the test and you have to wait to hear back like months. And I was like, well, whatever, I feel good about this. I'll just post. And it was just like a post on my regular account that I had like 200 followers. And I was just like, hey guys, I love it. Like it's still up on my page.
That's so
It was
cool.
just like, I love fitness. I was just trying to let everyone know like that I loved it and it was something that was exciting for me. And that was it. And then I just started posting like transformation photos. And like, I think one of my first posts was about like, because something that people ask me all the time is like, as girls, there's so many beauty standards. So a lot of people were asking about like how to get rid of hip dips. Like at the time, that was like the thing that everyone was talking about. And that's like one of the posts that like started blowing up. And I think it was like my third post. And then
Wow.
the other one after that was a transformation post. And then honestly, like I think I gained like 10,000 followers on Instagram in the first like month. And then it like literally, I have screenshots of everything. I was actually just looking at them the other day. Because
Wow.
whenever I get kind of like unmotivated, I'll just go back in the archives and you just see where you came from and you're like, no, we're ready. Like, let's go. But that was
Yeah.
kind of how it started. I was just posting like the regular fitness kind of stuff to help people, like information, transformation, like this is what I did. And it literally just started going. It was so weird.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, I think there's a lot of parallels between, anything you want to do in life if you want to be successful at it, and like fitness and health and all these things. Like, you should never go into it with the mindset of like, I'm going to be an overnight success, or like in one day's time, I'm going to be, necessarily where I want to be. I think you really do need to commit to like understanding it is a process. And like you said too, though, looking back and seeing how far you've come, that's incredible. And like, you should be super stoked and excited about that, which I think you are.
Yeah.
But also knowing like, and I think this kind of ties into what it really means to live a healthy life and healthy routine habits is like, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be pursuing something that's making you better. And I think, again, you can't compare yourself to others, but it's that process of like, how can you get better personally where you are with your situation, your circumstances, what you're going through to be better that next day, or to grow on social, or to whatever it is. But like, you got to be going on your path.
Exactly. You have to show up for yourself 100%. Like you're the one that's living your life at the end of the day. It's not anyone else. So if
Totally.
you want to do something, just go for it. And
I
if
love
you
it.
think that it's something that you're so passionate about and you have so much information to share, stop holding it in, just post it.
Totally. I love that. And I think it's like people that have a true like desire or passion about something, like whether you agree or disagree, like whatever your thoughts are on that person and what they're doing, like you have to respect it to some level. Like it's like if someone's going to put themselves out there and truly care and truly have this energy and just real like genuine just desire to do something, like at least I respect that. Like I really do.
Mhm. Same, I agree. Yeah. If you're passionate, I respect it. I got you.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about mental health because I think this is something too that is very directly tied in a part of living a healthy lifestyle, and making gains in the gym and just like pursuing the best version of yourself. And I don't think it's talked about quite enough. I think it's getting more attention, but at the same time, like I think these type of conversations can be helpful for people that are, maybe trying to learn how to have a more positive mindset. So for you personally, I guess the first question I would like to ask is like, where did your relationship with positive mental health begin? I know it's kind of a journey for everyone and no one's perfect and we continue to grow and learn, but like, where did that kind of start for you?
I have honestly struggled with my mental health since I was a teenager. So like I've been in therapy, like I got into therapy really young, which was really great. I feel very grateful for that because that kind of helped me as things got worse as an adult, um, to cope and deal with it, and not resort to doing things that people do sometimes, like substance abuse, all that kind of stuff that
Sure.
does happen. Because I was taught more than other people healthy coping mechanisms. So, like sports, therapy, like all that kind of stuff. But I really feel like I was just doing it as a guide because I was a child at that point. But as
Mhm.
an adult, it was definitely when I was like, I want to say around 20 years old, when I really started understanding how to deal with my own mental health in a healthy and positive way that helps me improve myself and grow as a person while working on the struggles that I have in the past, but leaving those in the past. Because I
Mm,
think that's a lot of people's biggest struggle
that's good.
with mental health is like we all hang on to the past like so much and don't work through it. Like there's so many people that have different coping mechanisms for things. I can speak to myself personally. I wasn't really thinking or working on it in the same way that I was when I was 20, when I was a teenager. Like it's not the same. And like that's why I say like I really feel like it was more when I was in my 20s. So like in the last 5 years that I really was focusing on a healthy like mindset instead of just like, oh, I have anxiety, so I have to go to counseling. Like that's kind of how you
Yeah,
think about it, I feel like as a teenager.
totally.
So it really transitioned for me when I was in my 20s. And that's when I really started using fitness and like exercising, going for walks, like all those kinds of things as a form of self care, in addition to going to therapy, in addition to, I ended up going on medication and that kind of stuff. But it's very, 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 very important. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that you need to be doing all the pieces to be able to
Yeah.
heal and move forward in a healthy and positive way and improve yourself constantly. Because like you have to have all the pieces running in your life to be able to focus on making sure that you're 100% healthy and happy. You can't just like go to the gym and say, oh, I don't need any therapy and I don't need anything else. I don't need to go for any other like moments in my life. I can just go to the gym and that's my only thing that I do for my
Mm,
mental health. I feel like that is something that's a temporary fix. And I feel like a long term, if you want to have a long, healthy life and be really okay with your mental health and your mental state, you need to be doing more than like one thing to like
yeah.
work on it. Because it needs to be a constant like thing that you're working on. I feel like if you're someone that struggles with anxiety, depression, any sort of mental health issues, it's something that you do deal with for a while and you need to be able to like have solid coping mechanisms instead of just having something that's like a temporary band-aid. I just find that that personally is what like made me be able to like really level up and like really get through that period of my life.
I love that. And yeah, it's so good. I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Mindful Athlete by George Mumford. This guy is incredible. Anyone listening to this, if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. Whether you're an athlete or not, the principles and just the ideas that he talks about your mindset are truly, in my opinion, pretty enlightening. And this guy was worked with like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, some of the like most successful athletes on the planet from like a mindset standpoint. But what he breaks down, I think, super applicable. And one thing in particular that I thought was interesting is this idea of like being mindful and like what it truly means like when you break that down. And I think it truly is a big part of mental health is like we need to be like aware of our
Mm-hmm.
situation and not just like going through the motions and like reacting. And this is something that when I thought about it, I was like, wait a second, like I'm always just going and like maybe I have a good day, got good news, maybe something bad happened and I'm like sad or upset about it, but I never take a step back. I want to be more like I want to practice this better, but like never take a step back. I'm just like more aware of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on instead of just reacting through that. And I think that kind of ties in nicely to what you're saying is just like we need to consider all these different things that can help our mindset be more positive. But also I do think there's a level of like awareness that as we as humans really need to be more conscious of.
100%. I feel like a lot of people are not self-aware at all. And that's like definitely a thing. And I am still working on that 100% because I'm very reactive. And that's something I've been working on for a while. Because, like, if something bad happens in my day, I'm very much naturally, my brain straight goes to my whole day is ruined. Like, you know.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
like, instead, I have all these things that I'm working on. And because I'm trying to be self aware, it's like I try as much as I can to have that step back and be like, is this really a big deal? Not
Yes.
really. Can we just take a breath, have a moment, move on? Because like that's like a huge issue with a lot of people. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are so angry and negative. Like when you see people out and about or like on the internet and everyone's like, man, man, man,
Yeah.
on the internet, it's because they're just sitting there and they're reactive. They're so upset. And it's just
Yes.
like we'd all just need to be more self-aware and really be in tune with our own feelings. So we're
Yeah.
not projecting it onto other people. Because that's the problem, I think, with a lot of the hostility. that people feel against each other is everyone's fighting with each other, but they're really fighting with themselves because they're just projecting out their own problems, you know? So if we all come to
Absolutely.
the table and we're bringing our best selves and we're working on ourselves, like the world would be such a better place. Like it really would.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm glad we're in this conversation. And I think too, it's like when you react to something and you don't have time to really, process it or be aware of it, it typically will escalate it, which will then cause even more friction that probably would never have happened if you just realize that it's probably not that big of a deal, you know? Um,
Yes, exactly.
which is cool. And it's, it goes again, one of the examples he uses in the book too is like Bruce Lee has that famous quote. It's like, be like water. And it sounds funny, but he talks about how like water responds and it doesn't react. So like no matter if you do a cannonball into the ocean, like it's gonna respond to that, but it's not gonna like react to it. And it's like, how can we implement like a similar mindset of like, look, things are gonna happen in our life that we can't control, whether it's like you said, you're using this is a great example just to keep it on point, is like these negative comments on social media. Are you trying to pursue your passion and someone just trying to tear you down? You can't control that. You can't
Mm-mm.
control how you respond to the situation, how aware you are, and how you can continue to practice just like positive mental health through
Mhm.
that. And hopefully maybe you can help that person, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Because really, the best motto is you kill with kindness. Because people, if you just keep reciprocating what you would want someone to be doing back to you, if you keep doing what you would want to be reciprocated, eventually, eventually it'll get through. It might take a while, but you can just be the bigger person at the end of the day and just really like don't react.
totally. And I think it's too, it's important, like obviously as a being like a good human being, like it's good to care for others. But I do think when you resort to that avenue, I think it makes you a better person because it helps you grow to, a more matured or just improved,
Mhm.
person that you could be. And it's like instead of you reacting, it's like, okay, I want to get better personally. I know if I'm a better version of myself, the people around me, the people I interact with are going to become better. And like you said, it really does become a big ripple effect.
1000%. Like, and if you're not the kind of person, like, for people listening, like, if you're not the kind of person that usually likes doing stuff for yourself, then think about it the way that you just said. Like, think about it like you're helping someone else by being the better person. Like, because
Totally.
that's really what it is. Like, you can look at it both ways because it really does. It helps you and it helps the other person
So
and
good.
world, if you want to think about it like that, even. Like,
Whole world. Yeah, exactly. No, that's good. So, you have, I'm sure there's so many things that you've learned along your journey, just becoming the best version of yourself through health, fitness, wellness, mindset, all these things. What is like a really good, I guess, like routine or healthy day look like for you right now?
okay. So, I actually have struggled with my routine a lot. But I feel like I've got a little bit under like exactly what I really, really need in my day, which for me, like my non-negotiables is no phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. That
I
is the
love that.
worst thing for you. And it's really hard to do that. It really is, especially if you do work from home or you do social media, any sort of work on your phone. But that's why it's so important not to go on it when you first wake up in the morning. So that's like one of my non-negotiables. Other non-negotiable is going for a walk for at least 30 minutes, five
Mm,
times a week, outside, not just on the treadmill,
yeah.
but outside. For a bit, I did the treadmill and I thought it would be the same. Absolutely not. The nature, like going outside, even if it's like honestly 15 minutes, like whatever you can manage in your day, you can make that work. Like you spend 15 minutes in the bathroom doing your skincare, like, like you could go outside and go for a walk. It consistently doing that has helped my brain so much. I get a lot of brain fog, and that helps a lot with mental clarity. So that's another one of my non negotiables. Other non-negotiable is that I'll go into like making sure I'm fueling my body. I have a really hard time eating in the morning personally.
Mm,
So I always have to make sure like after I get ready in the morning and then I go on my phone, I try to go on my phone after I've made my food. So it's like a reward for making my breakfast because that's something that I struggle with. So like making routines around like a reward system has really helped me in that way because then I'm reaching my goals, so I'm feeling satisfied, but then I'm also doing the things that I said I was going to do, but I'm doing them in a way where it makes me feel like I'm like goal setting and achieving like a little checklist. that
Yes.
really helps too, especially if you're not feeling motivated, like if you're going through a hard time or anything like that. Like these things are so important. And then I obviously work out every day. So
Hmm.
that's another one of my non-negotiables. Um, if it's a rest day, I'll still just go for a walk, but I'll just go for a longer walk or something like that. But the gym is like definitely a non-negotiable for me. That's like the
Okay.
best thing ever. And then I, for night routine, same thing, no phone 30 minutes before bed. That kind of thing is just the most important. Like that's the most important part of my routine is making sure that I'm like very much having boundaries around the phone, around my consumption of social media. I've been trying to keep my screen time down. And like this routine has helped so much with like keeping my screen time down. It used to be like 11 hours a day and now it's like 3 or 4. So
Wow, that's
because
incredible.
you sit in the morning, right? Like you just get
Totally.
lost and then you're on there forever.
I think personally I'm worse at night than I am in the morning because I'll get on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, YouTube even, and it's just like you keep going and it's like, how do you cut that off? But I love,
Right?
yeah, oh my gosh, I love that. I want to incorporate that more. I'm doing a challenge now. I'm calling it books or burpees. And the whole idea is like I understand the importance of reading and listening to podcasts and having like awesome conversations like with you and other guests on the show. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and I think it's super important to just expose yourself to new thoughts, new ideas, which make you more creative. And so I'm going to try to read at least one book a month. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. Otherwise, I have to do 1,000 burpees on the first of the next month, and so yeah, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, it's like, dude, I have time to read at least one book. And then, but I think what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to read before I go to bed so I can turn my phone off and kind of start to wind down and use that as like my reading time.
I like that. I've been trying to get into reading too. It's hard. I
It
haven't gotten through the first page of a book, and I've tried many times. I
is.
used to be a reader too, but I swear, like social media, TikTok, like it gave me like it feels like I have ADHD. Like it really does.
Yeah.
I used to be able to read no problem, and now I can't even look at a page for longer than like a minute.
I know. And it's tough to like for content creators, obviously there's so many more content creators now than there ever has been. It's like you can almost justify it a little bit where it's like, okay, there's almost a slight difference between just like mindlessly scrolling through content or if you're like studying content to like get ideas and trends and sounds, it's like, wait a second, this is like helping me with my job. So it's like, okay,
Yes,
there's
I
kind of
struggle with that too, but
yeah.
that's why I turn my phone off before bed because I always in touch. I'm researching like
Yeah.
when I'm looking at puppies, I'm like, girl, no, that is not research.
I love how you addressed and you brought to light so many awesome practices and different things that you incorporate into your healthy lifestyle. But I do want to dive a little bit deeper on just the power of movement and fitness and what that truly does for you. Like I would love to hear your perspective because again, not trying to push fitness on people, but I do think to some degree, like if you can just from even there's the mental component, but there's also like what's happening inside your body from a science standpoint. Like if you can get some blood flow going, you can get your endorphins going. Like there's things that are actually going to make you feel a lot better as a person. How has fitness played a role in your mental health? With your experience.
So many ways. Like as you heard from what I was saying about routine, the most important part of my mental health is moving my body. Like that for me is the biggest biggest thing that I can feel within like an hour. Like it's like an instant relief. And there's very few things that I've found in my long mental health journey that do that. And honestly, like if you're not someone that likes going to the gym, I get it. Okay. I get it. It's scary, it's intimidating, but just like try something else. Like there's so many things that you can do to move your body. Like I just said, you can literally just go for a walk. Like I know some people might not live in the nicest neighborhoods, stuff like that. Like I get it. Just go and bus somewhere, drive somewhere. I used to do that when I didn't live in a nice neighborhood. I would go somewhere else where I felt safe and walk. You can make things work for your schedule. You can make things work for your lifestyle. You can make things work for everything. It's just whether you want to put the effort in or not. And it's so important to have movement in your life. Like that's why people say like you should do 30 minutes of exercise every day because that blood flow really does help your brain, it helps your body, it helps your mind. Like everything is so linked to
Yeah.
movement. Like I feel like so many people don't realize how important it is to even just stand up and walk around. in between, like let's say you're working at a 9 to 5 and you're sitting at your desk all day,
So good.
it literally, the blood will pool in your, like that's why your neck hurts so bad, that's why your back is telling you there's no blood flow happening, your glutes are pooled with blood. Like it's just like, get up, walk around for 5 seconds and then sit back down. That's just an easy thing people can do that will help like so much with your mental clarity and feeling better, like honestly. And I feel like because a lot of us are doing sedentary jobs, it's so easy because your body hurts to feel like, oh my God, I can't exercise or I can't move. It hurts so bad. As someone who has a lot of pain, it helps to move. Like, I swear to
Okay.
God, that is the thing that helps the most with like my back pain, my neck pain, is going for a walk and moving. Because the reason it hurts so bad is most likely because I'm sitting like this at a computer.
Mm,
And like
yep.
the movement is so important, and also helps you get out of your head. If you're someone who's like sitting and you're thinking all day at work and you're like stressing yourself out, go for a walk, either in silence or put on a podcast,
Mm.
something to help yourself take a moment. Like, you can always make it work. I don't care how busy you are. You can always make 15 minutes for real.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's cool for other, you outlined some really, really awesome ways that are relatively simple for people just to begin. And I think it's
Exactly.
important for everyone to just figure out like what works for you.
Mhm.
Everyone's different, everyone has different interests. Some people want to work out twice a day and do something crazy. Some people are just like, look, if I can go walk for 30 minutes, like that's what I need and like that's going to get me through it. That's great. But it's like finding what works for you and incorporating something that just you can implement and you can work on, and it can again just kind of fulfill that health component of your life.
Exactly. Because, like, I get it. Like, I love the gym. So, for me, going to the gym for 2 hours, stunning. Love that. But, like, I talked to my dad, for example. He hates the gym, hates it, always has. Even when he was like an athlete, hated it. But he likes like going and playing hockey with his friends instead. Like, it's still movement. He's still
Sure,
doing it at 50 years old. Like, it's like any age you can start. And my dad doesn't like exercising, and he now like goes for walks with my mom and all that stuff, and he feels so much better. Like, you can apply this to any person in any lifestyle. You just need to find what works for you and what works for your schedule and what you enjoy doing. It shouldn't feel like a chore if it's something that you're enjoying. I know, like, when you're first starting, it'll take a minute. You have to get into a routine, but just like really stick with it. That's the biggest advice I can give, is like, it's worth it if you stick with it. You're obviously not going to feel it the first couple times because you're not used to it. But if you
sure.
keep consistently showing up for yourself and doing that little thing every day to make yourself feel better, it will, trust me, it will help.
I love that. It's so good. I want to talk to you about how social media comes into play. We've kind of addressed this throughout this episode, but I want to talk about it more directly here. As you've grown, as you've considered, as you've just kind of prioritized putting out content and helping people through that platform, how have you seen social media impact your mental health, both from a positive standpoint and probably maybe if you're comfortable, maybe share some of the negative standpoints, because I think you'll see both sides of the coin.
Yeah, there's definitely positive and negative for sure. Um, Negative would just more be like, just social media is hard. Like, it's a hard job, and I'm not naturally extroverted at all. I'm very much an introvert. Um, Before I did social media, I was extremely shy. You would never catch me taking a photo in public or filming myself. Absolutely not. But the negative really did turn into a positive because that helped me build my confidence. Like, it really, really did. Because now, like, I have no issue. I'm very much like, this is who I am, this is what I do, and if you don't like it, okay, go off. That's fine. But like, in the beginning, it really affected me a lot more than it does now. Like, I used to get made fun of all the time. People would make fun of me at the gym for filming. Um, People I went to school with would talk about me behind my back. I would hear about it. Like, that's just like what happens when you do this for a job, I feel like. But you just have to know that what you're doing is helping people. And like, that's what helps me at the end of the day feel okay, is like just reminding myself, again, we're going back to that why. It always comes back to the
Yeah,
why, because if you remember your why, it doesn't hurt so bad when everyone's being awful. Because like, that's what the hardest part about this job is, just everyone has their opinion on what you're doing, and like they want to tell you and you have to hear it. And like, whether you want to react to it or not is up to you. And like, for me, that's the biggest part of like trying to have a healthy relationship with my mental health, is like I'm trying not to react when people are coming at me with negative energy, because realistically, there's a lot less negative than there is positive. There's a lot more positive. It's just the negative is so loud compared to the
Yeah.
positive, because you really hold on to what people say when it's bad. So like you could have like literally 1,000 people say something so nice and amazing, and you have like one or two say something bad, and you're only thinking about that. And like that's something I've really had to work on doing social media for 5 years, is being able to be like, it's all good. That's a them problem. That's not a me problem. It's all good. And then just focus on like the people that are being nice and positive, and you're helping them and you're talking with them and you're having a good time and it's great and it's fun, because that's awesome. It's just this other piece that you just have to constantly kind of just like push away. But it's like one of those things where I feel like the positive is the negative. So I just have to really focus on the positive of the social media, because the negative, it's really not that bad. It's just I give it too much attention, if that makes sense, which then affects my mental health.
Sure. It's so interesting to me because you bring up such a good point. It's like if 10 people, say you have 10 people, nine people are like, Makayla, you're the best. This has been so helpful. Thank you so much for all you do. And that one person's like, I hate you. You're the worst.
Hmm.
Why is that person's voice so much louder than the other nine people? It's
And I
crazy.
don't know why it is, but it is. And that is something that I've personally just had to like find how I can deal with that. Because that's the best description, is that it's loud. It feels
Yeah.
loud. I'm like, that's all I can hear you say. I'm like,
I think it's another area where, again, like mindfulness can come back into the picture because if you do, okay, it's obviously you hear this person, you see them, you're like, gosh, I'm so frustrated. Why do they have to say that stuff to me? But if you can take a step back and be more aware of the situation, and be like, wait a second. Nine people said I changed their life and I helped them, and they're literally going out and being the best version of themselves because of one post. One person's upset and just probably dealing with something. I want to help that person, but still, that's that. But it's like it doesn't even compare. And it's like if we
yeah,
could take that approach again, just be more mindful, I think that would help with a lot of things in life.
100%. And like, of course, like I have my moments like where I get too invested and too frustrated, but it's like it's all about trying to constantly improve yourself. And like that's something I've been working on and I've gotten a lot better about, is like having that mindset around the negativity, because it's like at the end of the day, most likely that person said that to probably 10 other people.
Mm,
Like you're not even the only one. They're just sitting around upset. And really, my boyfriend described it as, he's like, lead with empathy. He's like,
love
think
that.
about it in an empathetic way. Be like, I'm so sorry that person is going through stuff. Clearly, they're going through whatever. And that comment is not directed at you. Even though it says, oh, Makayla, I hate you, blah, blah, you're so annoying. It's not. It's
Yeah.
it's literally not. And like it's just hard sometimes to take a step back, because if you read that, of course, your first reaction is like, and I used to be the kind of person where I want to prove people wrong all the time. And sometimes I still want to do that, because that's just human nature sometimes when someone says something that's so wrong about you and you're just like, what the heck? But I've been really trying to just like not be that person, because that's putting energy where it doesn't need to go. And I'd rather put
Yeah.
the energy to people that appreciate what I do and find help in it. And I'm trying really hard on that. That's been something I'm still working on, because it's really hard, but
It's tough, but it's part of the process, and it's cool that you're approaching it with the right mindset. I think what this is something I'm curious about. We've had on some really awesome guests on the show before, people that have created incredible personal brands and amassed a lot of followers. But I'm curious your thoughts on this as it pertains to mental health. As you have become larger on social media and gained more following and just been able to reach more people, which is awesome, how has that applied, any type of pressures on you to either perform or to show up, or like how has that kind of played into it? Because obviously we kind of addressed just like the whole like big picture of like social media and how it applies to mental health, but like for you specifically, someone that has really gained a large following, how has that kind of pressure, impacted your health?
it did a lot. It
Yeah.
still does a lot. And I think it's just hard. Like sometimes like it feels like you have the weight on your shoulders a lot. Like because there's a lot of people relying on you posting every day and like doing all the stuff that you do. And like when my mental health got really bad, like I've struggled a lot in the last like 2 years with my mental health. And like when it gets bad, I'll kind of pull back. because like that's the only way that I can like heal myself
From
because there's
posting.
so much pressure to post constantly. And like I used to post every single day on Instagram, 3 times a day on TikTok, like constantly filming. And I did that for like 2 years straight. And I still honestly haven't really had a break now that I think about it. But like I've at least like pulled back a bit and like I don't post every single day. But I'm getting back into it again because I'm feeling more okay. But that's something that I definitely struggled with, like when I'm not doing okay, it feels like I'm letting people down, and like that's the worst part because I know that I'm not, because like I've gone on my stories because I'm very open with my audience and my community, like my followers. I talk about my mental health, I talk about the struggles I'm going through, and if I'm going through something, I'm so grateful for my followers because honestly a lot of them check in with me and it's so,
It's
I'm
amazing.
gonna cry. Sorry,
That's
but
amazing.
it's so nice because like we built that, but then it feels hard because like when I'm going through stuff and I'm not feeling okay, I feel bad. And like that's something I really struggle with. Like, is that balance of like I can pull back a little bit because I know that it's okay, but at the same time I feel this insane pressure because there's so many people that rely and feel inspired and motivated from what I post, even if it's just a story.
Mm.
So like that's something I really struggle with because then I always feel like I'm always thinking about, oh, I need to post and I feel bad. And that is definitely something that I've struggled with like the pressure of social media and feeling like I just like struggle with that a little bit. But as someone who has worked on their mental health a lot in the last year, I've definitely realized like if you've built a really good community and a really good following with like genuine people, which I feel like I really have, they everyone's very understanding. And I
Mm.
need to accept that because I'm putting the pressure on myself. They're not. My followers are great. They're not pressuring me. It's me. It's all in my head. Like this is what I'm saying. And I feel like a lot of people that do social media for a career and will relate to this, like we put the pressure on ourselves really, like that's us, and like at the end of the day, like we're doing that to ourselves. It's not our audience, because our audience, they just want us to be healthy and post and be genuine, and like that's like the best part about what I do for work. So then at the end of the day I'm just like, okay, well, it'll all work out, it's fine.
Totally. That's awesome. And that's so cool to hear that, you've built such a strong community of awesome people that check in with you. I mean, that's a big deal. And that's something that I know you don't take lightly, but that's amazing that you have that community in your corner. And I know how thankful they are for you just continuing to be your best self and not to be perfect, but to continue to help and inspire them the way you do. And I think it's just a cool relationship, that back and forth of what happens.
I think that's a good point too. Like I feel like a lot of people think that social media influencers or whatever you want to call are perfect, and like that's not the case. And I think that's why like I really like sharing so many parts of my life like that are more vulnerable, because it's like life is not perfect. I don't live a perfect life, and I think that has helped kind of take a little bit of the pressure off because I've been realizing that a little bit more in the last, like, I want to say 6 months to a year. It's like people aren't perfect, and that's just how it is, and we need to stop pretending that social media influencers are perfect because that's not the case at all. And like that's why I love posting just like more real stuff. Like I'll post like posed versus not, like what you look like on Instagram versus reality,
Hmm.
like regular stuff talking about mental health, like because I just feel like there's so many things that can benefit when you're talking about that kind of stuff. But then also it does help as the influencer me to feel, I feel very normal. I feel like a normal person. I'm just doing my thing. And I love that because it also helps me feel very grounded. And that's something that's so important to me. So yeah, that's it. I don't know.
So good. I'm glad you brought that up because I believe I agree. And I think vulnerability really does deepen the connection with a person. And I think if your goal as an influencer, creator, whatever you want to call it, I know people don't like to use the word influencer, but if whatever word you want to call it, if you're
Whatever it
creating
is.
content, yeah, if you're creating content on social media to impact and inspire and motivate and just bring positivity, then if you want to have the deepest connection with that person on the other side of, that content, you should be vulnerable, you should be genuine, you should be relatable, because that's gonna allow you guys to have the best connection possible versus just showing, the highlight reel. And I get it. Sometimes you want to show certain things
Oh
to
yeah.
build your brand, but at the same time, I think the way you approach it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's super cool that you're able to kind of obviously motivate and inspire, but also be very real with the people that are engaged with you, which I agree. I think it really does connect you guys in a deeper way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something I just feel really, really passionate about. And like a lot of the people that I love following are like the same kind of vibe. And I just love that. And I love that social media is kind of going in that more real direction. Cause like it's just something that I think society honestly needs. It's just a lot more like real. Like we're not living this fake edited lifestyle anymore. And I love that that's kind of where a lot of people's content is going. And it's just really refreshing.
I love it. This has been such a fun episode. I'm super excited for everyone to hear this, and just hopefully, like you talked about earlier, hopefully this helps one person, just become a better version of themselves. But the last question I have for you, throughout all the years and all the things that you've learned, and again, take this however you want, what is one piece of advice you could just leave the listeners with today about something that you learned about yourself that you're like, man, I would not have understood this if I didn't go through it, if I didn't have this experience? Just something that you think you could equip people listening with as they take this away.
Ooh, that's such a good question. Um, I'm honestly, I'm gonna tie in honestly this whole episode is just really, really remember your why. Whatever situation like you're sending it on, like you're like, this is my goal, I want to do this, this is my passion, whatever it is, whether it's a business venture or you just want to start working out or you want to have a cake business, like whatever it is, remember why you started and what you're doing and really hold on to that all the way through because that's like the one thing that will keep you motivated. I swear to God, like that has kept me motivated in my fitness and like in my fitness journey. That's how kept me motivated in my job. Like that's kept me motivated in my relationships. Like all these things you can apply that to. So that would be honestly my biggest advice is like just remembering why you're doing something, what you're doing it for, and keep telling yourself that and don't listen to anyone else. That's my
Let's
advice.
go. That was amazing. Makayla, thank you so much for coming on the AIM podcast. This has been an absolute blast, and I'm super thankful for you and all that you're doing. And keep going. You're helping so many people, and it's amazing to see it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Let's go.